Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently in position, or not quite in position, but we need to warp forward to be in position to get this intersect. Fantastic. So we're going to warp on forward here, and we'll get that going. Oh, hello. Moon's Farside Basin. Stop. Stop with the warp. Wow. That took it a long time to stop with the warp, and apparently I saw this turn on and off multiple times. We did not... Oh, here we go. Farside Base. Okay, Donnie, go ahead and EVA. There you go. I think we must have an EVA report here, because we should already have that. So we'll just collect, and there we go. We've got about 3 minutes and 40 seconds here until our burn, which is primarily an inclination change burn, but we're also going to be setting up for our encounter with the command module. So that'll be absolutely great. Let's get into position here. 2 more minutes. And 1 more minute. 40 seconds. 30, 20, 10. And 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Excellent. Now this thing definitely has some offset thrust issues, no doubt about that. So we're just going to have to do something kind of like this for now. Once we're on our way in, we know that we're pretty capable of holding attitude with the retrograde marker, so that's pretty much all we're going to be doing there. But I have to kind of fight to hold this for right now. This is probably good enough. Okay, let's switch over to target mode here. How are we looking? 1.9 kilometers. Oh yeah, that's good enough. So let's warp to about here, and we'll see if we get any other data that we can grab. Probably not going to, but I mean, we're going up into in-space high now, so we're almost certainly not going to get more. Beautiful. So let's get into position here for a bit of a, well, we're at 92.7 meters per second right now. Okay, let's do a small corrective burn about here. That looks better. And how are we doing? 0.4 kilometers. Excellent. So let's warp in about another minute here. And we'll have to do another small correction, obviously, but that's fine. What do we got? Sure, this doesn't look too bad. We'll park about here, and we'll just gently ease that on over. That's definitely imperfect, but it'll do. So now, of course, we can warp in just that little bit further, about 30 seconds. And we've got another small correction to be done here. Something about like that. Beautiful. So now we're going to have to start braking here pretty soon. I'm going to warp in until we're about 1 kilometer out. There we go. And let's start up a mild braking maneuver. Actually, a fairly major braking maneuver now that I think about it. About 28 meters per second. Cool. Let's keep bringing this in, and I'm going to do a bit of a correction here as well. Okay. Something about like that. And we'll bring this down to about 10 meters per second. 2, 1, 0. There we go. So in we come. I think we might be on a slight collision trajectory. Let's just keep decelerating this on down. Fairly gently, though. About 7 meters per second. 5, 4, 3. 2 meters per second. 1 meter per second. And there we go. Beautiful. Now we're going to have Matt Gann go man the command module, as, of course, he is supposed to. So we will leave this seat. And let's go man the command module. This is, after all, Matt Gann's real job here. Beautiful. So we'll just grab on here. And board. Excellent. So now we need to get this docked up. We will set this as our target. There we go. This is definitely not the right direction. Let's bring it around this way. There we go. That's more like it. So with us lined up here, approximately, that will be fine. And let's line this guy on up, setting this Clampatron docking port as target. We're facing almost exactly the opposite direction we needed to, but there we go. And we'll just make a small alteration here, and a small alteration here. Excellent. Then we're going to use our RCS to make our way on in. And just doing a small adjustment on the actual trajectory here. That is very sensitive, so I'm going to add a little bit of additional speed here to cut down on the amount that these thrusters actually change our velocity. And then we'll decelerate this back down to about 0.2 meters per second. This is probably enough for docking forces. Should be reasonably fine. Speeding it up a bit. And docking forces. Fantastic. So that'll do. Now, of course, we're going to need to transfer all of our data and our crew. First things first, let's grab all of our data. So one here, and one here. That should be 11, 3, and 7. Perfect. So we shouldn't have any data up over here anymore. That appears to be correct. We'll turn SAS on for now. And we, of course, want to transfer our crew on out of here, so we'll transfer over to the command module. There we go. And we no longer require our lander. So we're now going to undock. And that remains here. Fantastic. Where are we in relation to Kerbal? Right. This is going to be a little bit different for us because of this inclination here. How would it look if we did a return maneuver here? This inclination may make this a little awkward. Yes, indeed it does. So our normal return maneuver isn't going to work. What happens if we go this direction? It kind of works in that it gets us to about here. We could toss in some radial, but really the core problem here is we're not lined up, right? So we could wait to return until we are lined up. That is an option. So that would end up being, you know, something kind of like, ooh, I overshot it. Okay, we'll have to go around to the other side here. This is very bumpy. This is a very, very bumpy ride. Okay, so let's continue to be about here, a little slower. And we would want to return sometime around here. So what would it look like from this side? Is this still the wrong side? Let's find out. The answer is yes. Okay. So we're going to want to return somewhere around here. This is... Wait, what just happened there? This is in 1 hour, 10 minutes. Okay. So, no, I don't want to set that as our target. I want to add a maneuver. Okay. Let's get rid of these maneuvers. There's a lot of maneuvers here. There we go. I thought I deleted that one, but clearly I did not. Okay, so let's try from this side, and we'll see how it works with this timing. Yeah, it's still non-great. That's for sure. So we'll have to do this slightly differently. I think this is going to really be more of a radial directionality here. Yes, that is correct. So it's going to end up being something a little bit more like this, which is kind of a wonky direction to be burning, and it's a pretty energetic burn, but it does do the trick. We've got the energy for it. So that seems absolutely fine. It's a huge inclination change, and we're just going to be returning like so. I feel like there's definitely a more efficient way to do this return. In fact, there certainly is. There certainly is. In fact, we could figure it out. 840 meters per second here. Would we be better off to simply escape here? So that's 163 meters per second. And then at this apoapsis, bring this down like this. This is probably cheaper. This is definitely cheaper. It's a two burn maneuver, but that's absolutely a cheaper way to do it. So we'll do that for now. We're not going to do anything like single burn here. I don't think that's necessary. We can bring this down to be somewhere around here. And we now know that this burn is significantly cheaper than what we had planned before. We can get a radial retrograde in there as well. So that'll be fine. We are orbiting on around here, and we're going to be exiting in about 1 minute here. But let's warp forward a little further. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. The other option, of course, would be to reassume an equatorial orbit here before we leave, but I feel like this is probably more efficient even than doing that. So this will be fine. We'll just do a 2-burn return. It's not a big deal. We did receive 18 science points, so that's something. And all we're looking for here is an escape, right? So we just need to do something kind of like this. And then once we reach this apoapsis here, we are at that point going to bring this right on down. Is that a moon encounter? That's a moon encounter. Okay, let's burn a little bit more here, just to get rid of those encounters. There we go. So that'll be fine. At this apoapsis now, we burn this right on down. That gets us that moon encounter there. Gross. Okay, maybe we should go from the periapsis then. This would actually be slightly better in terms of killing more speed. It will be more expensive because we're burning from the periapsis here rather than the apoapsis, so we've got further to go with the burn. But this energy would have to be lost at some point anyway, right? And we probably would do it via a radial retrograde burn. This is still less energy than what we had before in terms of cost, and this is going to be a significantly better orbit, but we're going to want a radial retrograde burn. I don't think it's strictly required, but I would certainly like it. So we're going to have to go all the way around to avoid this moon encounter, which is sad. But we'll have to go all the way on around here. Certainly a more circuitous return, no doubt about that. Okay, so about 50 meters per second, not meters per second, about 50 seconds here. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. So we're going to have a fair amount of excess energy here, right? No doubt about that one. A fair amount of excess energy from this apoapsis being still nearly at lunar orbit, but we'll definitely get rid of that. We've got plenty of delta V, no concerns whatsoever here. About 50 more meters per second. 30, 20, 10, and let's just bring this right on down. I'm watching this periapsis number. We're targeting 40. About there. That'll do. Cool. So now around here or so, let's do a retrograde burn, and we're just going to bring this guy right on down. So we need to be going this direction. And we've got about 1,000 meters per second here. So this is slightly more than what we have. I'm going to back off a little bit on this retrograde. That's adding additional retrograde. I'm going to back off a little bit on this retrograde and then a little bit on this radial. And we're going to be targeting somewhere around... here. Cool. We'll have a tiny amount left, and we'll probably just burn that out where we are on that same heading. That'll be absolutely fine. So that'll be in about 5 hours here. We're currently basically at our apoapsis, so we're not moving very fast right now. But as we fall here, we're going to pick up quite a lot of speed. No doubt about that. So inward we go. And we're just going to be going faster and faster and faster here. The real question is this going to end up being a land or water landing? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell at this point, but it looks like land. That's probably land, is my guess. We'll see. We're moving at about 2,800 meters per second here. We've got about 50 seconds until our burn. 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. There we go. We happened to be loading in at the same time, so that's mildly awkward. But it's about a 2-minute burn, so we'll physics warp here. And we're going to be reducing our speed by a significant margin, which is excellent. Cool. We're slightly over towards the radial side here, but I actually kind of like that. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I kind of like that. We're drifting off of the node, though. At this point, I want to be more on the node, I feel like. Our periapsis is a little bit on the high side, and I'd like to get that drop down, but it will drop down over the last little bit of this burn. So that is reasonably expected. And we can see it is indeed dropping. So this seems reasonably fine. Periapsis of about 10. Okay. We are actually out of fuel, and that's at the perfect timing. So I like it. We are going to ditch this. We're out of fuel. And we're going to bring this on in. Actually, we don't need to be in physics warp. We're not in the atmosphere yet. Now we're in the atmosphere. Beautiful. So let's head on forward here. We might overshoot the continent here. Yeah, I think we probably will. That's great. I like it. There's more water ahead of us than there is land. So odds are okay. They're not great, but they're okay. Well, I say they're not great. I think they are great. Like, we've got a fair amount of water ahead of us right up over here. But we're not going to hit this water. We would end up hitting probably this water or this land, would be my guess. We're still moving quite quickly, though. So that is definitely something to consider. Moving quite quickly indeed. But we are beginning to decelerate quite a lot. It is kind of looking like that bit of land is going to get us again, doesn't it? It's definitely kind of looking like that. We should come out of physics warp here. We're drifting out of the retrograde node. That's fine. We've gotten a fair amount of science back as well. Unable to transmit, it has no comnet connection to home. That might be because of its location. We might need a comsat up there. Yeah, we're definitely going to be landing on this land. That's a little bit sad, but definitely not the end of the world. Okay, drogue's out. And where are we at with the main? Well, very soon now. There we go. And this is, of course, the conclusion to the Apollo program portion of this. Now, the next section is definitely going to be the first space stations, so we'll need to, like, create Soyuz. Skylab, I think, launched on an Apollo derivative rocket. I'll have to look into that. We'll have to create the Soyuz for creating Salyut 1, and we'll do that first, and then Skylab, and then the Space Shuttle and ISS, which is going to get exciting. We'll see how that ends up going. That's going to be very interesting. For now, of course, we may as well be physics warping. And we also may as well get our payment for Apollo 17 here. So that's 200,000 plus 500,000 for finishing the Apollo program. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think that went twice. Maybe it did. No, we were at 900K. Now we're at 1.6 million. So that's fine. Downward we go. Land landings are definitely a little bit more awkward for us, but it's not the end of the world. It'll be fine. So yeah, next up is definitely going to be getting the Soyuz program online. So that'll be interesting. We'll have to build ourselves a Soyuz. And also start getting the Salyut 1 Space Lab online. I believe that was a single launch lab, although I'll have to look that one up. We'll see. I guess we can grab a mystery goo observation, and we can have Doni EVA for a surface sample. Not that that's going to be worth very much. And we'll recover our vessel from here. Perfect. So that's going to get us another big chunk of science, allowing us to unlock probably everything before... Yeah, probably everything before the next upgrade, or close to it. We'll see. We are getting back a fair amount of science from our surface deployed things as well, so that's great. No problem whatsoever there. We will be back to the moon in the Artemis program, but that's a ways down the line. No doubt about that one. So 539.8 science earned. I love it. We're going to hop into the R&D. only 673.5. We're probably not going to get all of this. Let's grab precision engineering, getting access to the weather analyzer at least. Unmanned tech would give us more mech-jeb features, and honestly, we probably do want to be starting to get into the automated liftoff portion fairly soon. Not, I think, right away, but fairly soon. And let's grab, I think actuators would probably be good for our space stations that are going to be happening soon. We can already dock, but being able to grab with these grabbing units would be very, very good for us. So that'll all be good. We're still lacking some science, particularly in the flight tree here, and these more expensive areas, but that's all not that big of a deal. I don't mind that all that much. So that's great. That's the Apollo program complete at this time. And next episode, we're going to be starting with the Soyuz program, which is kind of nebulous on when that starts. And we're also going to be working on Salyut 1. So that will be very interesting to learn exactly how that space station ended up working. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.